Hello, beautiful planty people. It's Scully and welcome to Scully's Creations, where we talk about plants and occasionally do a creative project here and there. If that sounds like your thing, your gem, please subscribe. Make sure you hit the bells to be notified next time I put out a planty video. Okay, so hi. I know it has been a while, but let me start off by telling you this weekend, you'll be seeing this on Friday, but I would have recorded it the weekend before. So this weekend has been the first weekend that I have been home since Thanksgiving. Yeah, it has just been like one thing after the next, and it's okay. We're here now, but I did just want to kind of tell you what was going on and why I haven't been uploading in a minute. That is exactly what's going on. I did start a new job, so that has a lot to do with it as well. So anyways, I did promise you a informational video, and that's what we're gonna do today. So as you can tell by the title of the video, we are actually gonna talk about soil additives, or also known as amendments. So if you hear me say additives or amendments, it's the same thing. So just so you know. Okay, so how I'm gonna break this video down is I'm going to go through each individual additive and let you know what it is and give you a suggestion on what type of plants can benefit from adding that additive to your soil, such as an aroid, a cacti, a succulent, things like that. So let's get into it. Okay, let's start with pumice. Pumice not only retains moisture and releases it very slowly, but it adds aeration to the plant. Pumice is usually used for either succulents, aroids, or Hoyas as well. So anything that wants like a chunky mix, pumice is usually used for. Same thing with perlite. Now, perlite is volcanic glass, and it does basically the same thing. It holds water, releases it very slowly, and is used to aerate your plant. So again, things like succulents, aroids, and Hoyas will really benefit from having some perlite. And honestly, if you wanted just to do the bare minimum as far as like additives, I would actually recommend perlite because one, it's super accessible, it's cheaper than pumice is, and it is really going to benefit your plant. Especially again if you have like succulents or if you have Hoyas, like they absolutely love more aeration because they really do not like to be overwatered. So yeah, perlite's awesome. I absolutely love perlite, even though it does rise after a certain amount of times that you water. By that time, it's already ready to either be repotted or it's ready for a soil change. So moving on to vermiculite. Now, vermiculite is a type of mineral and it does retain a lot more water than something like perlite or pumice. I've also seen people use vermiculite for propagation. So I don't personally use vermiculite. It's just something I haven't like dabbled with yet. Maybe in the future, but I do know that you do want to use it for something more like begonias and avoid using vermiculite on your succulents or cacti. Okay, next up is sand. I'm sure y'all all know what sand is, but sand is typically used for succulents, because you want to use sand when you have a plant that wants to dry out a little bit more or something that doesn't want to retain so much moisture. So that's where you want to use sand. Okay, so next up is horticultural charcoal. Now, horticultural charcoal is a awesome additive. Personally, I have yet to use it just because I just haven't bought it yet, but I do really want to. I actually should have used it in my terrarium, but honestly, my terrarium has been fine. But the reason why it's a good one to use and why you always see people using horticultural charcoal in terrariums is because one, it absorbs excess water, and then two, it absorbs odor. So You know, terrariums with it retaining so much moisture sometimes can get a little stinky, especially if your plant is transitioning to that terrarium environment and you have lost some leaves and they're rotting off, which totally happens. But again, it's just transitioning. That helps with that. So that's horticultural charcoal. Next up is orchid bark. Now, orchid bark is also a really, really good one. It is chunks of bark. You can also buy reptile bark, and that's this like they're the same thing. So I know that a big bag of reptile bark could be a little bit cheaper than an orchid bark. I guess just depending on where you're going, how big of a bag. But anyways, orchid bark is really great because one, it absorbs moisture. So it absorbs it, it retains it, and it also, because it's bark, it's like instantly aerating your plant. I do personally use orchid bark and I have loved it. I think it really has made a big difference in my plants. And it has definitely stopped me from overwatering my plants. So orchid bark is honestly really good for most of your houseplants because again, orchid bark is going to give your plants aeration within that soil, which is really going to help your roots and overwatering issues. So orchid bark's a great one. Definitely recommend that one. Okay, so next up is cocoa husk. And cocoa husk is the outside of a coconut shell, which is really cool because one, it's sustainable. Two, you can use it to aerate your soil, or you can also use it by itself. So kind of like leca, which leca are clay pebbles. Now, if you are going to use it by itself, you do want to know that you are going to need to add nutrients to your water. So yeah, cocoa husk can be used the same way as leca can be used. It absorbs water, it provides aeration. Like I said, you just need to add that nutrients in the water if you're going to use cocoa husk by itself. Next up is coco coir. Now, coco coir is also really great. It is very airy and a great base if you were going to create your own soil. However, I will let you know that you will need to add some type of nutrients because coco coir on its own, just like cocoa husk, does not have any nutrients. So that is something that you would have to add additionally. Speaking of nutrients, let's talk about worm casting. Now, worm casting is worm poop. That's what worm casting is. However, worm poop has so much nutrients. So, a lot of people actually use worm casting instead of fertilizer because of all the nutrients that the worm casting has. So, for example, if you were going to make your own soil and you're using coco coir, you would want maybe to add some worm casting as well for that nutrients. So that's worm casting. Now, the last additive that we are going to talk about today is compost. Compost is really awesome because not only can you benefit by having a compost, plants absolutely love compost. Compost is filled with nutrients, is filled with all of the right things that your plants need. Compost is a really good one to add in your soil. And that is my final additive for this video. If I have left an additive out that you like to use, please leave it in the comment down below. Are you using nothing in your soil? Like, let me know. I would love to hear all of that. But that will be it for today's video. Again, I hope you enjoyed. If you liked today's video, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't, leave me a comment down below letting me know what you would like to see instead or what can I improve on. I would love to hear all of that feedback from y'all, and I hope y'all have a wonderful planty day. Bye!